Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is our tips and tricks guide for Goku Black. So as always within these kind of guides, we're going to be going over his move list, special supers and the like. A lot of things I want to talk about here in this video. I want to talk about his normals. I want to talk about, his mix-up game, because, it's not like top tier. He has some mix-up potential, A lot of people, they don't see the down light that hits low, and they just write off their mix-up potential entirely, and that's not really the case here. And I just want to talk about a lot of things here besides that, like, general game plan and all that. So without any further ado, let's just get to the start here and go on to the special and super moves. So, starting off with the special moves here, let's talk about the God Slicer. So, God Slicer, quarter circle forward and attack, and as you can see here, he just shoots a heck of a lot of projectiles, and then he just gives you the big old stab with his energy sword. Now, before you ask, these energy projectiles that he shoots out, they are indeed weak projectiles. So, much the same class as your basic Ki Blast, so the enemy is free to homing dash through them, and they will basically auto-lose to standard projectiles. However, that said, that's still not the end of the world. The big use for this move is both as a combo ender, so you're doing this, and you can go right into your super, which I dropped because I actually did not let it end correctly, which you probably should do. Let that get that stab in there before you do it, right? It is a source of a sliding knockdown for him in the corner. With the medium version, it's somewhat difficult to combo in the medium version mid-screen. The EX version, though, will combo anywhere on screen. And just the range, like, the projectiles alone, obviously they go full screen, right? But the range is just really big. Like, you can see here, that's near full screen right there alone, right? So, if you have the use of assist to back you up, you can really pressure people with this move. Next up is the instant transmission. That's quarter circle back and one of your attack buttons. So the light version will always dump you ahead of the opponent, like right in front of them. So no matter where you are, and this is a ground only move, just so you know, no matter where you are, light version will put you directly in front of them. The medium version will always put you a little ways away from them, so not quite as close as the light version. And the X version will always be directly behind them. And yes, this is a move that can steal the corner. So normally in this game, you're not allowed to really take the corner, prevent like Street Fighter style mix-ups. But this move will take the corner from the enemy. Now, one thing to note here, and this is one thing people don't often talk about, is this move actually will track the height of the opponent. So, a lot of times you see it like you're going to use on the ground, and, here we are, right? But if you were to knock them in the air, instant transmission will meet them in the air. And then you can even, depending on, say, like right here, we're just doing down heavy, right? You can even get a little bit of a follow-up, right? Check the companion combo guide for some ideas with that. But yeah, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that it matches your height. Now, 99% of the time you're going to want to use it when someone's on the ground, but it's just something to keep in mind. So once again, light equal close, medium equal far, and EX equals behind. Now onto the Fierce God kick. So that's quarter circle back and attack in the air, and he does a dive kick, a very standard fighting game style move. So what I'm doing right now is the light version of the dive kick, and it just kind of hits the enemy, and that's all there is to it. If it connects, you will have the advantage, and if it's blocked, you're going to have disadvantage. But in all regards and all respects, it's just really what it is. Now, the real meat here is the medium and the X version. So the medium version, as you can see here, kind of causes this bit of a slide out. Now, what makes this really cool is certain combos in the corner. Like, that lets certain combos happen that are not normally possible, like kind of breaking the usual combo structure of the game, because that slide out lets you dash forward and go from there. The EX version is not too different from the medium version. It does more damage and it's a bit faster, but in all regards, it's just basically like the medium version, just, faster, better. But yeah, so the medium version and its little unique animation definitely allows for some really tricky stuff that a lot of the characters can't pull. Now we have the Black Kamehameha, and it's named for Goku Black because its color is decidedly pink. It is a fairly standard beam. Not to say it's in any way bad, in any way, shape, or form, because I don't want to be a broken record on this, but I'll say this a million times, I'll say it a million more. It's always better to have a beam than to not have a beam. Because the utility of this kind of style move is so good, it owns the whole screen that it's on. Unless you're point blank, it's very safe on block. It's the easiest thing in the world to convert into, vanish combos. So beams are fantastic utility, and hey, it's one of those. But other than that, it's nothing special. You can't aim it, you can't do it in the air, but it does what it has to do, and that's control the whole lateral portion of the screen. Now, the next move up here on our final special move, this is a really fun one. So this is the Binding Black Kamehameha, and it's quarter circle back in the special button. And what happens here is Zamasu grabs you, and you just chuck that beam right at him. So if you're not aware of the lore, at this point Zamasu is full-on immortal, and he cannot be killed in any way, shape, or form. So unlike Goku holding Raditz for the special beam cannon, everything's just fine for Zamasu, and he doesn't mind holding the guy in place. So what makes this really cool, other than just the fact, guy grabs and you get blasted, right, is this is a true grab. So the enemy has set to guard all my attacks here. So normally at this point, we couldn't block a Dragon Rush, right? And much the same here, he cannot block the Binding Black Kamehameha. So this is fairly unique in the realm of grabs in this game. Obviously everyone can Dragon Rush, and certain characters like 16 or Broly are more prone to do command grabs than other characters, which obviously you still cannot block. But this can be done from like full screen, right? The damage, as you can see here, is not amazing. 9 times out of 10, if you get it, you're going to be following up with some kind of, vanish combo, which also will not be amazing damage, but still. It's a great little way to crack someone open if they're being overly defensive, because, as we'll go on later on the video, with no downlight, it's a little more difficult for him to crack people open than usual, but still, a true grab, it goes a long way to doing that. So now moving on to the super moves. First up here we have the God Slicer Dance, and Goku Black, big fan of Halo, loves the Needler, so he gets that Needler in there and, hit critical mass and explode. So yeah, obviously it's from the anime, right? This is your DHC move, so if you have your teammate here and you want to call in Goku Black to do something, you're going to be doing this. So honestly, of the supers, this is kind of the least of the supers. Now, one thing to note here, it does force a little bit of a cinematic where nothing else can really happen. So during this time here, say we try DHC right away, we can't because the cinematic has to play out. And in reverse, say we have a super, like, I don't know, say Android 16, where it just happens all the hits all at once. What's going to happen here is he's going to hit, and because you're stuck in this little cinematic, the Android 16 super is going to miss. So when you're trying to DHC into this move, when you're trying to tag super into this move, please let the move beforehand finish out in full. Otherwise, you will be crippling your own damage. So please, please, please keep that in mind for tag super combos. Next up here, we have the Holy Light Grenade, and this move is Air OK as well. And Zamasu come in, tag together, and they'll shoot a big old explosion. If you are on the ground, you'll jump up too, no matter what. The only way to do this low to the ground is do the air version and do it right before you hit the ground. But for the most part, it won't really matter outside of super edge case situations. So between the two supers, this is generally the better bet when you're doing combos. The God Slicer one, you don't have much of a choice in the tag super situation because that's your default tag super. But this one actually does more minimum base damage. All super moves have a minimum amount of damage they're allowed to do no matter how big the combo is. And simply put, Holy Light Grenade has a better minimum, so at the end of any given combo, it's always going to do more damage. It also has its own loop, which I will discuss, not so much in this video because I already made a video dedicated to it. You'll find a link to it at the end of this video if you want to check that out. But needless to say, by himself, no assist needed, he is able to get multiples of these by himself against certain characters, which once again, just check the video at the end of this one, there'll be a link to it, and it'll explain the whole thing there. But yeah, so pretty much unless you want to go for your level 3, this is going to be your go-to super, as it simply put does more damage. And his level 3, this is everyone's favorite, or least favorite, at least looks-wise, the Work of a God. He gets his big old scythe out here, and we get a bunch of clones out, and we just do badonk here, and we smash you up real good. And that's kind of all there is to it. Also, Air OK. The positioning you get is fairly decent, actually. We're going to have its own section about the post-level 3 mix-up in this video. You get some decent damage, obviously, and you're usually pretty good positioning for a follow-up. It's not like, Bardock good or anything, right? Unless you're watching this video like a year from now or something. Maybe Bardock has been nerfed from dust. I don't know, right? But it's certainly serviceable. As far as level 3 goes, it's a pretty alright one, and being Air OK lets, go for, say you get straight hit and you want to convert right away, hey, you're allowed to. Not much else to say to that other than the level 3 setup section, which we'll talk about later in this video. Alright, so now let's just talk about his normals real quick here. And let's not beat around the bush, let's just talk about the one that's on everyone's minds, and that's the down heavy. Is this the best down heavy in the game? Yeah, not even close. Is this one of the best normals in the game? Yeah, not even close. Is this just one of the best moves in the game, period, no caveats? Yeah, not even close. His down heavy is one of the reasons you picked this character, to be honest. That and the assists are probably like number 1 and number 2, right? So what is this down heavy and why is this so good? Well, one, as you can see right there, the range is patently absurd, right? Like, it hits from so far away. Not only does it hit from so far away, it hits so well above him, and it even hits a little bit behind him. You can be a little bit behind him and get a pixel of it grazing you, and guess what? You're going for a ride. So that's why this move is just so dang good. I can't really say much more. We'll talk about it in one more section, but like, don't feel bad just fishing with this move, because it's fairly low risk, and the reward is very, very high, as you can just kind of turn any old straight hit into just any old kind of combo. Now, next up, I do want to talk about his basic key blast. So unlike a lot of characters, his is a little different. See here, it kind of shoots this little crescent energy wave. For one, and if you do it up close, it actually is just an actual hit. Now, one thing to note here, a lot of people don't know about, so let me just set the enemy to block here. So if you do it touching them, you'll just get this animation, and you won't get the projectile, right? But one thing, if you are close enough and get the projectile instead, so right here, as you can see here, I'm just holding up afterwards, so I kind of have to wait for my animation to end. The projectile version is special cancelable on block after the projectile hits one way or another, right? So here I'm holding up, I have to wait for the whole animation to play out, right? But here, as soon as it's blocked, I can go boom right that. And that's something people are not going to be expecting right away if you're somewhat close here. They'll block that projectile just fine, and once again, if you're a little too close, it's going to turn to the different move here. But normally you have to wait for your animation to play out in full before you're allowed to move. But just keep in mind that once they block this, even though it has to travel a little bit before they can block, it is special cancelable. So at that point, you can do other things. So sometimes it's going to be your fastest possible option to do something. And it's just something just a little tricky to keep in mind. Because it'll let you recover faster than normal. And no, you can't special cancel before it connects, just so you know. It has to be as the move is actually blocked, and then you can special cancel. But just a little ditty to keep in mind here. Because once again, it doesn't really play by the rules as, most characters' basic key blasts do. So you just gotta play to its strengths. Now, another normal to talk about is another very simple one, and that's jump heavy. His jump heavy is potentially the dumbest jump heavy in the game. As once again, just like down heavy, that jump heavy, the hitbox is positively absurd. I've been killed my own self here from jump heavies like this. Like, it doesn't. The Goku Black has crossed over me completely and managed to touch some feathery pixel with this massive hitbox of my own hurtbox, and this kills me. Like, that's not even a cross up. I'm not trying to cross up with it, just so you know. I've been killed by the non-cross up version because that's just how good that hitbox on that is. So when you're just trying to get in, a lot of characters want to do like, instant air dash heavy for a variety of reasons. Rest assured, when you pick Goku Black, his instant air dash heavy spam is going to be top of the class and much better than most. Now, one I want to talk about here, and a lot of people don't bring this one up, is his jump jab. So if you play any amount of game, you know stuff like this here. So the enemy is jumping, and you're trying to catch him in the air, and if you catch him blocking, you'll do this block string, and if they're not blocking, then you can launch them with a hit confirm. Most characters who have this ability want to try to do something like this, except for certain characters like Piccolo. Piccolo, due to how his jump jab works, he just kind of meets you in the air and pulls something like this. Well, Goku Black can actually do mostly the same thing, and it's just as good. Well, not just as good as Piccolo, but near as good as Piccolo's, because one of the big things is it starts up quite a bit faster than jump medium. So in those really dicey situations in the air where, you know, that one frame between, you know, a medium and a light coming out can matter, hey, this works. So once again, it's not as good as Piccolo's in that it doesn't have that disjointed hitbox. Piccolo's hitbox is much further out than the part of him that can be hit. For Goku Black, that is not the case. But still, in much the same regard here, it is just the same that you can go for. And if you see it gets hit, cool, you go for your down heavy hit confirm. And if you don't see it connect, well, then you can still go for your heavy and go from there. So it is a pretty decent option he has. So he's basically the only character that can both do the quick jab version and the traditional medium light into either the launch or the block string heavy and continuing from there. So now I want to talk about just a very simple block string mix-up, but it's pretty decent as the simple block string mix-up actually in the end can cover every potential option the enemy wants to go for, except for just mashing level 3 because of the invincibility. So hey, stop me if you heard this one but here, but you know those dudes who they're mashing Vanisher and block string at every single opportunity? Well, we got a couple options to get around that. So first up here, say we're doing basic block string, and then we go for our down heavy, and let's do it a little faster that time there because I'm talking. So it turns out if they're mashing Vanish, between the down medium, stand medium, and down heavy, there's just the tiniest of gaps, like 1 or 2 frames, where they are allowed to mash the Vanish. It will go through successfully, but they have not yet vanished, and that just beats them dead to rights. Really simple as that. And say we want to go for something a little more airtight here. So what we're going to do here is end with the basic key blast, which is a true block string at that point. And say we go for the beam, hey, that just beat them just clear as day as before. So these are quick little options just to, you know, if you know that guy's going to mash Vanish, these are things you can do here to beat that. Now say, hey, we got the exact opposite problem, right? Dude ain't mashing Vanish. Dude is going crazy mashing that Reflect, and that just stinks. He just got us, right? So in that scenario here, you know, our down heavy ain't going to work. And our Kamehameha is going to get reflected back, and potentially, depending on how close we are and depending on the character you're fighting, I actually might get a little bit of a punish, although it really depends on the character. Not many characters can do that. So how do we get around that? Well, hey, it's really simple. Can't reflect a grab. And that's kind of the crux of it right there. Between any given block string, you can go for a beam, or you can go for a grab. And the enemy kind of just has to guess. And that's really all there is to it. So obviously the grab has its own downside. As if they chose to do nothing at all, and they see the grab, they are able to, you know, kind of react and get out of it. And much the same here. Say they are that kind of person to mash Vanish. Well, in that situation, then the mash Vanish will work, right? But these are just some options you have in any given block string, so you don't need any assist to help you out or whatever. Just because they blocked you doesn't mean they're still not in some form of mini mix-up. And these are some of the options you have available. So once again, do any given block string into down heavy or beam, and you will beat everything. Any button press, any mash fan, everything short of level 3 and reflect. And if you go for the Zamasu grab, it'll beat reflects as well. So tailored to the kind of opponent you know you're going to fight here, because it can really matter. And if they're the kind of person who just is not going to hit anything at all, then hey, maybe you can start mixing in, you know, as the transmissions in there, you know, tailored opponent by opponent. But that's just a little mini block string mix-up. Alright, so now let's talk about a more traditional mix-up from that block string there. I know a lot of people, they just assume if you don't have a downlight that hits slow, you got no mix-up potential, and that's just not true. Maybe it comes from the fact I play mostly characters that can't produce a downlight that hits slow, that I don't think that way. There's so many more mix-ups than just high-low. That's just a very basic way to look at something. So I'm going to provide you with an example here just on what to look for. So we talked about in the normal sections how good / stupid jump heavy is, right? So you can just jump heavy in and just go nuts. And short of a down heavy, any button that tries to challenge it is going to get beat. So that's really good and works in its favor. So, well, let's just say it's blocked. So Goku Black has the kind of projectile, just like a regular Super Saiyan Goku, that will hold you in the air just a split second. So what this is kind of hit confirmation time. So if the enemy does not guard, in this specific setup we're going to work towards here, you have all the time in the world to kind of say, oh, my move hit, I can get to go in my combo, right? Conversely, you get to see, oh, my move got blocked, okay, then let's go into the new setup time. So let's just look at it from this angle here. So when you do this specifically, obviously the jumping kick pushes back the foe a bit, and what we want here is exactly the stoppage from the basic ki blast. So if we just do the jump heavy, we're just a little close to them right here because our momentum follows through as well, even though they get pushed back. But if we do this, our momentum stops in place, so they still get pushed back, but we will not travel forward as far. And on top of that, they'll get another little knock-it pushback just from the basic ki blast. So why does that matter? And let's just go over it. So why it matters is just simply this. Right here, this distance here is the perfect distance for a nice little cross-up. So yeah, maybe high-low stuff not so awesome here, but this little setup here, super easy for cross-up. So you can kind of do whatever version of cross-up you want. You can just do this and run forward, you know, do basic attacks. Heck, you can even do a second ki blast, just like the one you're doing in front of here, just to get your timing right if you want. There's a lot of ways to do it, right? But so this scenario right here is now you are kind of forced into a left-right. So we can do that, or we can just kind of stand still, keep attacking, or do, say, delay down medium. So while you're looking forward for that cross-up, maybe you're expecting it and you're holding back, well, then get hit by his only actual low, right? And not only that, this will apply to the bulk of the cast. So this exact setup here, it leaves people just kind of right outside their jab range. So if they are so inclined to mash a button afterwards, one thing that's really handy is you can just Dragon Rush as well, because it'll leave you outside, just outside the range. Really, the only people who can really hit from this distance would be like Broly and like 16 and Vegito, because they're the only people who have like really long range stand lights. So in the end here, this is, I'm not going to give you every possible example because I don't know them all, right? But this is just an example of, this is a perfect spot right here. There's just the right distance to be in basically a three-way mix. You block this, and the 2 hits give me enough time to hit confirm that it was blocked. So now it's guess a quick instant overhead from the cross-up side. Or conversely, I can just go right for that low and make you guess low. So we already have high-low now in just kind of a different fashion. Or, once again, since it puts us just the perfect distance for 90% of the cast to whiff any move they want, that's also perfect Dragon Rush distance. So, in essence here, yeah, it's not the traditional high-low that a lot of people use, but it goes to show that there is mix-up potential for Goku Black. It's just not in the traditional sense. You kind of really got to work for it. You got to math out your distances, and this very simple setup here of just, you know, jump heavy ki blast, what gives you just kind of the right distance you need for all these options to work. And that's what I'm talking about here. This will give you the mix-ups you need to work. Let's talk about his level 3 and some of the mix-up options you can get from it. So he is definitely not one of the most devastating level 3 mix-up characters by any stretch. Just so you know, he is not Bardock. He's not base Vegeta, but it's not to say it's not there. He's got some options. So most of the time when you get this, you're going to be getting in the corner. He's got very fair corner character. So generally speaking, you're going to get your thing in the corner. Now, one thing to note here, actually, let's do this right beside the enemy, just touching the enemy so we can see what I'm talking about. When you do this move, no matter what, after the move completes, you are actually at a fixed distance. So you're always going to be right here, no matter how close you were to the enemy when you're in the corner. And we can use that to our advantage. So here's a very, very basic setup here. We are just going to do what we're going to do here. We're just going to hold up and forward. And then once you know it, it's kind of just the exact perfect distance, the exact perfect timing to give the enemy a bop on the head. And also, just so you know, this also beats down heavy attacks. Down heavy is the invincibility on air attacks that does not start on the first frame. and this will hit just in time to beat that, as you can see here. So he did not get his down heavy off. And also, this will beat level 3 setups here. You will have indeed enough time to block level 3 afterwards. So we're just going to show that right now. So very basic setup. It's obvious what you're going to do, you know, but it's very safe. Let's put it that way. Oh, he went for level 3. Cool. Plenty of time to block. Not a big deal. So it's the most boring, it's the most lame thing he got, but it leaves you very safe. There's not really much they can do other than mash deflect, and that's not really going to get him much, because you're going to be deflected to right around here, and the pressure's not necessarily over, especially a character like Goku Black, where it's very difficult to reflect him out due to the absurd range of his auto combo. So yeah, very safe, very easy, very fun, and that's kind of all we really need to talk about on that aspect. So let's move on to another one. Let's move on to mid-screen. So for say whatever reason you're not in the corner, I want to give you another really basic example, but it's a decent example. So we're going to use the light instant transmission. You gotta hit the button a little faster than that. But you get the idea, right? So you can just kind of land right on top of their head. Now also, if you're a little quick on the draw here, what you can do is also this. So much the same idea here, light instant transmission. And you can actually cross up on the other side and give them a little smack. Now, are they able to down heavy this one? Yes, just so you know. But then, conversely, you can do the medium version, let their down heavy whiff, and then just punish it down heavy. So that's just a nice little mix right there to have to get left and right immediately. And if they are the type 2 mash down heavy, the medium looks just like the light on the startup, right? And you can do the medium, they whiff their down heavy, you can down heavy them back or whatever combo you want and go from there. Now, one thing to quickly note, the very tall characters on this particular mix-up, when they are standing, like say that you're doing against Broly or something, right? What's going to happen is you're going to instant air dash into his chest if he's standing. You're not going to be able to cross other sides. This will work on the large majority of the cast, but in that specific edge case, just so you know, that's not going to work. Now, let's go back to the corner here, and let's just use another example. Once again, these won't be every possible permutation, because I don't know every possible permutation, but just some ideas to get the old noggin flowing. So once again, here we are at the corner, and what we are going to do is the EX version of instant transmission. This is a very, honestly, day one trick. Right there, you know, hey, cross up, right? But we can add a little more flavor to it, just similar to the mid-screen one we just did. So what we're going to do is do that cross up, and then we're going to immediately cross over. And as you can see here, we just kind of did a little double mix up there. So we hit on the one side and we hit on the other one, right? In this specific example, I'm just using the key blast just to give him a little extra hit stun so I can have time to run and jab. You don't have to, but just a little easier use thing. So there's just a couple examples there. So once again, we've already talked about a bunch. But yeah, he don't got that down like the head slow. So does it mean he has no mix-ups? No. But it does mean you have to be inventive, and hopefully some of the ideas that we've been showing you so far are enough to kind of get the engines running up on your brain to give you some ideas of the possibilities that he has available to him. Now, Dragon Ball FighterZ, obviously a team game, and every team has a point, mid, and anchor, and where should Goku Black fit on that scale? Now, if I made this video some months ago, even up to a couple months ago, I would have just been singing the high heavens. He has to be the anchor, the last guy on your team, and don't even entertain anything else, because, hey, if you're picking him on your team, there's a reason why, and he's got the beam assist. This is hands down one of the best assists in the game, for a multitude of reasons. So, you know, make use of what that's there, right? Now, I've actually softened on this. Is he a fine anchor? Yeah, I still think he's a plenty fine anchor. But I actually think he's also an outstanding mid now. This is not something I had an opinion of months ago, but I do now. And it's just his combo structure, you know, it makes the use of assist shift fine. Like, you know, maybe not like best in class or something, right? But you can make use of assist and combos just fine. But what it does do is it amplifies his neutral greatly. He can kind of play like Bardock light. So even something as this, rando God Slicers, right? Like, right here, this is a perfect example. Just cool, it hit full combo, and if not, I'm plus in front of your face. These are things that just let him bypass the neutral, honestly. That and much the same here with like rando God Slicers. You can kind of do this, call assist, and go from there, right? Like, you can kind of just do things and call assists, and then if it works, awesome. If not, it's like zero consequence. Much the same here, like rando dive kicks and all that. Like, it's just really, really, really good. Just this is one example here of just random like God Slicer into TN assist, right? I think that's a very, very strong sample of why him being mid helps, because the reward is so high on connect, and the risk is so minimal. And once again, the range here is just absurd. The range he can hit you from, like, look at that. That is like 90% of the screen. So you just do that, call TN, and if it hits, awesome, and if not, not. So that's one of the big reasons why I think he's actually very serviceable mid, because he gets a lot out of just having an assist into just a very low risk situation, and into potentially really good reward. So it's not quite random rebellion spare no assist for Bardock, right? But it's still very decent, and you can do some, you know, really tricky stuff like stuff like that, you know, call an assist, and then you can instant transmission and do all sorts of wacky stuff. It helps his pressure game a lot. Once again, solo, he's going to be a little harder to crack you open than the average character. Not to say that there isn't ways, as we talked over earlier in the video, but having an assist definitely will help alleviate a lot of that. And that's basically his biggest weakness, because, you know, he's a character with a lot of upsides. He may not be the single most popular character online no more, but it never stopped meaning he was bad. Like, he never stopped being good. So yeah, I guess I'm a little rambly here at this point, but I think he is a fine anchor, but I also think he's also a fantastic mid. Point, well, I guess he certainly wouldn't hurt from benefiting from 2 assists, but keep in mind, this is the reason you picked him in the end, right? The down heavy and the beam are 2 of the reasons you picked him, so the point character, whoever it is probably going to get much more use out of that Goku Black assist than Goku Black would with 2 assists himself. But against somewhat common opinion, I do think he's a fine mid. Now, on to his general game plan. Yo, down heavy. Don't be afraid to use and abuse this move. Once again, it's debatably the best normal in the game. Indebatably just one of the best moves in the game, period, regardless, normal, special, super, ultra, whatever, right? It's just really, really, really good. And we talked about that little gimmicky blockstring section earlier. So one thing you can do here is just simply, you know, easily hit confirm it. Go for it. Did you see it hit? And go into, you know, your little skyward animation, then hey. And right away, you know, the enemy can guess that or beam right off the bat, right? And due to the pushback here on the beam, you're fairly safe. You don't really got to worry about much. And you can just put the enemy in a little guessing game every single time. You can also very slightly delay like God Slicer, although if you do, please have an assist backing you up. And if you want to get really gimmicky, one thing you can do here is go for the down heavy into your EX instant transmission into a little left-right mix-up if they block. And, you know, just kind of have to pre-commit to the transmission. The one really cool thing about this is, you know, he will totally meet you on the way up. Because once again, as we talked about in the special move section, the instant transmissions care about where you are when you start the move. So I don't get away with that more than like once or twice, because that is not, you know, you will get down heavied for one. But it is something to catch people off guard with. Just don't get too used to doing it, because it's not a very real mix-up. But in a pinch, in a very high-stress situation, it could be exactly what you need to steal a game. Now, that mentioned here. Once again, too, we mentioned in the special move section, but in case you're the kind of guy who skipped on timestamp ahead of here, keep in mind when you're doing your basic stuff here, Light Grenade always does more damage at the end of a combo than the spikes will. It's not a lot more, but more damage is more damage. End of story. It's not really like your setup off this is really much any better than the grenade. So when the choice is given, you don't want to burn 3 bars, you only want to burn 1. The grenade will always, always, always do more damage than the spikes. So that said, we mentioned here in the where should it be on your team section, Goku Black with an assist backing him up gets to be really rando. Rando with God Slicers into assist, or you know, either air or not, and you can convert into quite a bit. You want to go for dive kicks into assists, that's all well and good. You can kind of afford to not play regular neutral for a hot second with Goku Black when you got an assist backing you up. Just due to the strength of his specials, so it's always just something to keep in mind. Now that said, besides that, the basic game plan, hey, it's a basic game plan. He's, no, I won't say he's not a unique character, but he wants to play the same general game plan with about a good half the cast wants to have. You know, if you think you're going to meet the foe in the air, you know, maybe jump medium, light, light, heavy. He does have the option to jump jab just like Piccolo as well, although it's not quite as good. But yeah, you're going to be playing a very orthodox game plan. Just with a judicial use of down heavies in between. Because once again, please use those. Also, keep in mind that down heavy, it has some push back on block. It is not a particularly safe on block move. Now, you will be safe from most normals if you use it at distance you should be using it at. But keep in mind that certain level 1s and level 3s can just raw punish it if you do not do any kind of follow-up. So if you're going to be doing that raw level 3s, keep in mind, just make sure you hit confirm one way or another. So if it's on block, you can go for, like, you know, the grab / beam mix, or if it hits, then hey, awesome. But don't let it rock raw too often, because you can be punished on block by just like a raw level 3 from a lot of the cast. So in closing, if you want to be really cheap and reductive, Goku Black is a down heavy and a beam assist. That said, as hopefully this video has proved, there's a lot more going on than just that. Obviously, the normals are a really big deal to play him. Once again, I really think he's strong with an assist backing him up, because just, you know, just this kind of stuff, if I could do it correctly, but just this kind of stuff lets him play a game that normally the traditional solo anchor Goku Black can't. Because you can't just really abuse random God Slicers like that and get such big rewards. But yeah, you do want to abuse the beam assist when he's up on back. You do want to abuse that down heavy when he's up on front. Like, these are just, you know, they gotta be realistic, right? These are some of the best traits of the character, so you gotta play the strengths of the character. But besides that, yeah, he plays very straightforward, very orthodox, but use these very vicious normals. Like, he has some best-in-class normals. Like, a lot of characters cannot match out the buttons he can put out, and abuse that fact. He's got a really good toolbox. Maybe it's not best in the game, but it's definitely better than average. And just work with it. I can't really say too much more than that. He's a solid character all around. He's a great assist. It's easier for him to win neutral than average. He has such good tools that, all things being equal, it's going to be a lot easier for him to get that first hit in the scramble than most characters can. So therefore, in the end, you know, he's likely to get more damage in. So yeah, it's a potential. Yeah, keep harping on it. Yeah, he does not have that crouch low that hits low. But that's not the end of the world. I know some people think it is, but hey, I don't think it is at all. I mostly play characters that can't do it, and so it's fine enough by me. But yeah, strong character. He's a good choice on pretty much any team. Anyways, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.